This is an exciting show. In a moment, Nancy Guthrie, I think they're going to get her real soon tonight. They have a suspect in custody that they're interviewing right now. The FBI's elite hostage rescue team is there right now. That's going to come up. Student walkouts. By the way, on the Nancy Guthrie thing, there's somebody who really could be the one in custody right now. I'll be showing you pictures of the guy and his name and his background, his rap sheet. Might be the guy they got in custody tonight. We don't know. But then student walkouts in Fort Worth ISD, in Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD. There is a principal that could lose his, in my opinion, could absolutely lose his certification and get fired. There's a school that's in big trouble. And a lot of walkouts today in Dallas ISD. All that's coming up next. But first, as always, this show is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Randy Martin from IRSprob.com. Randy Martin is helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. IRSprob.com, or as Randy says, IRSprob.com. IRSprob.com. Use them. Okay, so let me show you a picture because I think the idea of who this is absolutely correct. First of all, to give you an update, on the ground right now, the FBI's elite hostage rescue team is in Tucson. And in fact, that is a team that, if they go in, is very violent. You may recall, we had a radical Islamist here in Dallas, Fort Worth, who took over the Colleyville synagogue. The FBI, the now former and disgraced former head of the FBI for the Dallas field office, Matt DeSarno, that disgraced woke turd, came out when the Jews were being held hostage by an Islamist who flew into our country from Great Britain, where they make Islamists as they pump them out all the time. He came here, went to South Dallas, bought a firearm, handgun illegally, and went in and took hostage a congregation of loving, peaceful Jews. It was streamed live, and he said, "I want Lady Al-Qaeda freed," who was caught on the battlefield in Afghanistan by our elite soldiers, and want her freed, and the Jews control the media, everything like that. That's what he said. FBI's hostage rescue team went in there and blew that crap up. But remember, disgraced former head of the FBI for Dallas field office, Matt DeSarno, said, "This is not Islamic terrorism. This is not, I repeat, this is not Islamic terrorism," when it was all radical Islamic terrorism. That is the former woke FBI and the former woke head, the disgraced former head, Matt DeSarno of the FBI office in Dallas. Now, what I want to get to you is this. They have a suspect in custody. They're interviewing him or her right now, and I will be shocked if it's not this guy. Now, I'm not saying it's this guy, but watch this before I even show you the picture. Actually, I'll do both at the same time. Okay, that is the suspect's face on the left, obviously. On the right is a man who is not, I'm not saying he did anything. I'm not saying he's a suspect because we don't know nothing until we know nothing. But look at that, he's got a goatee. Earlier today, experts on Fox News, former FBI folks, were saying there's a bulge on the bottom as if there's some kind of a beard. Look at those eyebrows. Look at those eyes. How close does that possibly match? There's a mustache above the lips. Look at that guy. How much you want to bet it could be him? Let me read what one of these accounts I follow out of Texas, Texas Girl X, says. Let's talk about Dominic Aaron Lee Evans. Because remember this. They have been going after Nancy Guthrie's son-in-law. And that is Tommaso Cioni. They've been at that house a lot. They got permission to go into that house, and since you have permission, you don't need a warrant. They were there repeatedly. They were there in the evening with flash cameras at night, which leads to certain kind of evidence discovery. So let's talk about this man, Dominic Aaron Lee Evans, says this post that I'm sharing with you. Okay, there he is. Dominic Aaron Lee Evans, longtime friend. Dominic Aaron Lee Evans, a longtime friend and former bandmate of Tommaso Cioni, Annie Guthrie's husband, Nancy Guthrie's son-in-law. Dominic, in this picture, is a Tucson musician and founding drummer of the indie post-punk band Early Black, formed in 2007 with Tommaso on bass and vocals and Walter Gonsalves Jr. on guitar and vocals. Walter I. Gonsalves Jr. On guitar and vocals. The band was active for years, and sources say Dominic, who's pictured in here, and Tommaso, Nancy's son-in-law, remain good friends to this day. Public records. Now remember this. What are all the people saying today that are FBI experts and all sorts of experts and investigators, that this person, whoever did it, probably has a freaking rap sheet. Well, this guy that I've been showing you, who may or may not be involved in this, not saying he did anything because we don't know until we know, but public records indicate that this man I've been showing you, Dominic Aaron Lee Evans, who's friends with Thomas Sione, the in-law of Nancy Guthrie, public records in Pima County and Tucson show Dominic has a criminal history, including cases and arrests for felony burglary. There you go. Somebody who's incompetent with how they hold a firearm, right over their junk in a holster that doesn't fit right. I carry, and I have carried regularly, and I have a license to carry, even though you don't need one in Texas anymore. I carry 99.9% of the time. I'm packing, and it's not over my junk. It could be, but it ain't over my junk, especially like that clown. Public records show that this man, Dominic, has a criminal history, including cases and arrests for felony burglary, robbery, embezzlement, and DUI. What have I been telling you for 2 or 3 days? I've been telling you for 2 or 3 days. Check that son-in-law's, who I've been mentioning, Tommaso Sione. Check that guy's, does he have gambling debts? Do they have debt? This guy, does he have gambling debts? Does he have debt? They were at that house, they were searching, and they had a silver box that gets data from electronics and through Wi-Fi. You know, the big break came when we had this video that was just released as well. This was the beginning of the breaking open of the case today. There you see in the silent video, this guy who may be the guy who I showed you. Could be him, could not be him, but there's a suspect. He's incompetent. He literally has nothing to stop the camera from recording. He's comfortable. He knows what he's doing there. That backpack is full. It's distinctive. They're going to know where that backpack was bought from, how many were purchased, and when the last one was purchased in the Tucson metropolitan area. He's so incompetent, he gets a plant. The man gets a plant to try to cover up the camera. Now, the FBI did reverse, I can't remember the exact terminology of it, but they went to Google Nest, and they said, look, this woman's subscription, Nancy's subscriptions were no good. They were out, check your subscriptions. But the cloud, can we go back and do a reverse kind of an engineering thing? And they were able to. And they were able to get that video and share it with you today. Some other pictures from the FBI today. There you have the suspect with the gun, which I'm going to show you a picture of what the gun probably is from a former police officer that shared that gun in the image. There's the gun. Then you have the suspect right there in the middle, flashlight, or maybe some sparkling teeth that nobody knows. And there he is again with the eyebrow and the mustache. Now let's go to the gun. Here is the gun. And that gun is curved. And if you go back to the other picture I was just showing you, that gun is curved. It's hard to tell from the picture, but it is curved. That is most likely the gun, according to a detective, which I'll give you the model number in just a second. But let's go back to where I was, though, okay? So public records showed Dominic Aaron Lee Evans, friends with Thomas Sione, the in-law of Nancy Guthrie, that he has burglary, felony burglary, robbery, embezzlement, and DUI history. That's exactly what the profile of some people were saying who this person is. This video we see of the suspect. Now with the Nest doorbell photos showing a masked intruder who many say bears striking resemblance to Dominic. Yes, the eyebrows, the eyes, the goatee, as we showed you. Again, this is from Texas Girl X on Twitter. I retweeted this on my Twitter feed. If you don't follow me on Twitter, aka X, go to @ChrisCroc That's @ChrisCroc You see his eyes, his eyebrows, his goatee, his close relationship with the son-in-law, giving potential access and knowledge of the home. All right. What else do I have for you? I think they're going to... I pray that she's alive. With the blood droplets, it's possible this went wrong. What was he doing for 42 minutes in the house? Maybe he got the meds. Maybe they'll find her alive tonight. I think the case is going to get cracked wide open today. I think you'll see a press conference tonight with some great results, or you'll see something by tomorrow morning or midday. I'm very excited about this, and I feel very hopeful. The Bitcoin, nothing was put in the wallet except this afternoon. It was confirmed. TMZ wouldn't say the amount, but it was $300, according to Fox News, was put in there. What's that all about? Were they doing a test? Were they trying to use it to backtrack to see who the suspect is and where they are? 2 people most likely involved in this at least. This also coming in from Fox News. The FBI retrieved that video from a doorbell camera. It's called residual data, stored in back-end systems. Guthrie did not have an active subscription. You and I should be calling our parents, our elderly parents, and asking them to make sure their subscriptions are up to date and also get the passwords and the user for that. Savannah Guthrie said today her mother, she believes, is still alive. This guy's jawline, the suspect in the video, appears puffy, which could indicate a beard hair beneath the mask, which matches the guy I showed you. His head and shape and a lack of visible hair from the head, it may indicate that he may be bald, but who knows? Is this the guy? I don't know, but there's the picture again. And you can decide for yourself if that is the guy. I will not be surprised if that's the guy. The subject's head shape, lack of visible hair suggests he may be bald. I don't know. All right? Now, the pistol that I was mentioning to you, according to a police officer, former detective, it looks like a Russian Glock pistol with a curved grip. That's the actual picture of the Glock. And then here is a picture of the pistol with the guy. Okay? Hard to tell per se, but there it is. All right. So, the son-in-law disappears from public view, says the Daily Mail. I think it's related to him. I've told you that since day one. I said I want to know, does he have gambling debts? We know he hangs around with people that are felons with long rap sheets. That's very, very concerning. Are your friends felons? Look, there are ex-felons that are at my church, but they're walking with the Lord. I don't know about this guy. Who knows? His son-in-law, Nancy Guthrie's son-in-law, has not been seen in a week. Thomas Sione. He and his wife, the Today Host's sister, Annie Guthrie, live in a $675,000 ranch house 4 miles from Nancy's home. But Sione, 50 years old, has not been seen since the Daily Mail spotted him and Annie leaving and returning to the home February 3rd. Well, guys, it is the 10th of February. That's 7 days. Okay? I think that's going to be about it. They're going to get everything on the clothing. They're going to get everything on the backpack. They're going to be able to identify so much. They're going to know how many were purchased, what year, where they were purchased from, and how many of those were purchased in what stores in the Tucson area in Pima County. I think they're going to find out, and they're going to nail this guy real fast. One of the things I heard today from one of the experts is the reason why you don't hear anything for a long time is because they're actually getting a lot of action behind the scenes in the case, and they don't come out until they are ready to come out. So being quiet actually may typically mean they've said really good things, and I think now that we're seeing what we're seeing. Person detained in connection to the case is a good thing. Hey, I wanted to tell you something else. Very important. I got off the phone with a couple hours ago. The attorney, remember yesterday I told you about this case in yesterday's podcast. This from the Dallas Morning News where I first learned about it. A Plano student was called a racist bully. His accusers now must pay him $3.2 million. Eighth grade, at the time, eighth grader Asher Van had a sleepover. A black kid alleged that he did all sorts of horrible things, that he was racist because he went to the sleepover. His mom went to the hilt calling him racist. She doxed the kid as a minor. Their woke, bottom-dwelling, race-baiting, race-hustling attorney Kim T. Cole, who I've been going after for years. She's like a poor man's... I had said all this yesterday. What's his name? The guy who ran for attorney general who tried to get me fired repeatedly. What is his name? It'll come Lee Merritt. Lee Merritt, that insane poor man's Al Sharpton. Lee Merritt and Kim T. Cole are the two Walkouts out of Collin County in Frisco. She and the mother of the black kid who claimed racism, they were ordered to pay $3.2 million by a Collin County district for doing so many vile things and lying about this white kid and doxing him and destroying his reputation. He won $3.2 million. They sued against the judge to ask him to overturn it. He said no, but now I'm going to increase the amount of damages you owe because of what you've just done here. And so I was on the phone with this young man, Asher Van, who at the time was in 8th grade. Now he's 18 years of age, 4 years later. Plano young man. He won his case. His attorney and I were talking. His attorney is Justin Nichols of San Antonio. He and Asher are going to join me Thursday morning at 11:30 to talk about a horrendous case. It literally is like Nicholas Sandman. Remember him? At that, he was wearing a Trump hat. He was at that rally in D.C., and they lied about him, and he sued and won millions and millions of dollars for fake news, CNN, and all these other places. So this young man is a local version of him. And it's a must-hear Thursday on this podcast at 11:30 a.m. Now, I want to also tell you this. Before we get into the high school walkouts, and some people are going to be in big trouble, at least one principal in the Metroplex. But first, I want to tell you this. This show is brought to you, of course, by IRSprob.com. IRSprob.com helps good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversies, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. IRSprob.com. Randy Martin is my CPA. He has been my CPA for my business for several years and my wife's business for several years. He is my tax planner, and he's done our taxes and been our tax planner and Sherpa for all things taxes for 7 or 8 years. So if you have an IRS problem, if you have a business and you have problems with the IRS, or you're a personal person with personal issues with the IRS, or you want tax planning, go to IRSprob.com, IRSprob.com, and tell them Chris Crock sent you, okay? Boswell High School. I have a new picture to show you. This is from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, because this teacher, I think, is going to be in big trouble. Look at that teacher right there. Do you see what's in her hand on the right? She must be a faculty member, a teacher, or perhaps a parent, but I don't think so. If that's a faculty member, that woman on the right, her cell phone is being held up. Look, and she's holding a sign protesting. If that is a teacher or faculty member or anything like that, she has a very good chance of getting her teaching certificate revoked and being unable to teach in the state of Texas. These are kids at Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD, Boswell High School in North Fort Worth, okay? So they walked out twice. They walked out a year ago. They walked out a week ago during class at 10 a.m. Highly illegal and bad. More importantly is their principal. The students allege, and the Star-Telegram has viewed video of the students that say the students showing allegedly that the principal, and the Star-Telegram actually says it, so they reported as fact, that the principal of Boswell High School in North Fort Worth in Eagle Mountain Saginaw School District, ISD, literally supported this protest, said, I want you to be safe, gave them advice on how to do it, and then apparently they had buses. If that principal did that, and if that faculty member that I just showed you, I'm going to show you the picture again. If that faculty member, a person on the right is a faculty member, she and that principal are in big trouble. Let's get into the details on this. But look at that. Can you believe that? Can you imagine? Imagine if that's your kid's teacher right there on the right. Imagine if that's your freaking kid's teacher for history, education, Spanish, whatever, I don't care. Reading, arithmetic, gym teacher. Imagine if your teacher is having your kid, encouraging your kid to walk out in the middle of the day of high school. Imagine that she's carrying signs and recording this because she loves it and she loves getting your kids involved in this as useful idiots. How in God's name would you feel about that? I know how I feel about that. I want prosecution. So, the Star-Telegram. There was another protest that happened after class Monday, yesterday. Okay, that's not a problem. 4:25, they did it. The students said several hundred people would be there. No, 100, not several hundred. And I don't know how many people go to Boswell High School, but 100 out of, let's say, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 is nothing. Nonetheless, they're saying immigrants are humans. Why should they get treated differently because of their skin tones? They're not immigrants. They're illegal immigrants. That's why they're treated differently, because they don't have a right to be here. Dozens of students were told they would be receiving disciplinary action from last week's walkout Monday at 10 a.m. However, and that's during Boswell's first period, Boswell High School, students at Boswell told the Star-Telegram that school administrators helped organize their walkout. School administrators, the students say, helped organize their walkout. Fire every one of them. Remove their teaching certificates. Investigate them for criminal activity. The students told the Star-Telegram that school administrators helped organize their walkout, shared tips on how to stay safe throughout the protest. Video obtained by the Star-Telegram, which I've not been able to get it and see it from them on their coverage of this. Video obtained by the Star-Telegram showed Principal Ryan Wilson telling students it was on him if they didn't feel safe using their right to protest in something they care deeply about. He is complicit. He must be investigated and perhaps, and if found in violation, lose his teaching certificate and be fired. The principal, Ryan Wilson of Boswell High School in North Fort Worth. Students now say they're confused because they've been punished. And they say discipline for the walkout. They're confused because, especially after the principal gave them tips on how to stay safe and didn't stop them from holding the walkout. Now, they're not allowed to stop them physically, but they cannot help plan it or encourage it. And this guy appears to be in big trouble. Some students were told they could lose their senior prom or the ability to walk the stage at graduation, which they should. TEA, Board of Education, are also investigating, State Board of Education. Now, let me tell you this, too, from yesterday's coverage of this Boswell High School walkout in Eagle Mountain, Saginaw ISD in North Fort Worth. The students do not want to deal with the punishments. They do not want to deal with the consequences of their actions. When I was at the big talk station in Atlanta, Georgia, before coming to Dallas, Fort Worth, 16 years ago. When I was at the big talk station in Atlanta, I went to the Martin Luther King Jr. Museum, which is a federal museum, a federal park, if you will, even though it's like a museum. And in there, one of the things I will never forget, and I love telling this story for years and years and years now, that Dr. King said that people who are not willing to suffer the consequences for standing up and doing what's right don't believe at all in what they're doing. And these students are upset, and they don't want to have any consequences. They're upset they could lose their senior prom or ability to walk the graduation stage as punishment in the Star-Telegram yesterday. They're upset. They don't want to lose. They don't want to have any consequences. No. Oh, no. Oh, no. Then they don't believe in what they're doing. They're just useful idiots. Step right up and get your punishment with a smile. Accept it with a smile. Also today, students walked out because they love illegals and they want to protect illegals who are rapists, murderers, etc. Not all of them, but we don't want to wait, do we, for them to rape or murder or kill. We need to deport all illegals because an unprecedented invasion for 4 years under Joe Biden of 10 to 20 million illegals begets an unprecedented deportation. So students at Townview Center in Oak Cliff walked out. Governor Abbott, reports the Dallas News, has been calling for students to be arrested. The TEA to investigate, for example, Austin ISD. I've been showing you the pictures there of one of the vice principals reportedly walking out with middle schoolers and walking 40 minutes across town to join in with these radical leftists who love illegals. If the district facilitates walkouts, they could result in a state takeover. Well, I'm demanding that I'm asking Governor Abbott to investigate Eagle Mountain, Saginaw ISD, Boswell High in North Fort Worth, to go in there and investigate a potential state takeover because of what we now know. thanks to the Star Telegram. Teachers who encourage students to walk out or principals could have teaching certificates revoked and lose their of course, they lose their daily attendance funding as well, which is absolutely important. The DISD superintendent, by the way, they love their illegals in DISD. The DISD superintendent had an email to parents, guidance on walkouts and the potential consequences. But you know what the email did not include, according to the Dallas Morning News? The Dallas ISD superintendent, Stephanie Elizalde, did not include any consequences if your child walks out. Do you know why it didn't include consequences? Because she loves walking out for illegals in DISD. She loves her useful idiots that will walk out. Student organizers at Townview High in DISD spent days talking to classmates and building support to ensure a turnout, because that's what school's for, gathering people to walk out for those who break the law or who end up murdering, raping, or killing us or in a car crash, etc. So, 39, this is interesting. Let's start Dallas Morning News reporting 39 State House Democrats sent a letter to State Education Commissioner Mike Morath. They want to know some things. They've asked the state agency whether a district that coordinates with walkout organizers to keep participants safe falls into that category as somebody who is assisting or violating policies by the state. Well, my answer would be hell yes. Hell yes. But they want to know. They want to know how far they can push this. They don't want to know because they don't support them. They want to know so they can see how far they can use the schools and use your kid to stop ICE from doing its job that we elected Donald J. Trump for. Fort Worth, they walked out. Birdville ISD, Hearst HEB, Forney ISD, they walked out. One outfit out of Hayes, Consolidated ISD in Central Texas, got into a fight with a man, which is why all this is horrible and shouldn't be happening. Townview said theirs was one of the Fox 4 News said that Townview's was one of the largest walkouts from Townview Magnet Center. Of course, they're in Oak Cliff, and they're leftists. Booker T. Washington, of course, is going to walk out. They're a bunch of leftists. W.T. White School as well. And I think that's about it on that. Now, here you have to hear this. I have some audio from WFAA-TV Channel 8 today from their story. Tarrant County is about to vote to accept a grant of $100,000 to $144,000 so that Tarrant County Sheriff's deputies can make $64 an hour to work with ICE. They already have 287G, which 287G is obligatory. It's what the fake cop who's the chief of police for Dallas, Como, repeatedly said he wouldn't do anything with ICE in any way, shape, or form. It's what Como is being forced to do by state law that we passed. And that is saying that every county in Texas that has 100,000 population or greater must cooperate with ICE and must work with ICE to tag and bag illegals, at least at the jail. And if they don't, they'll be in violation of Texas state law. And that, of course, means that Como is going to be cooperating with ICE against his will shortly. But listen to this. Tarrant County has been using 287G for years. And I'm very happy about that. 287G is where ICE gives software and training to the sheriff's deputies who are in the jail booking people. And that means every person, whether it's you, me, or an illegal, gets their information run through a database from ICE, and they can flag right away if they're an illegal. And the moment they're being released from jail, before that, they are notifying ICE, and ICE comes and picks them up while it's safe, while they're unarmed and already screened in the jail. So this is beyond 287G for Tarrant County. This is totally exciting. From WFAA-TV Channel 8 today, Tarrant County commissioners disagree on expanding the sheriff's contract with ICE, but vote is likely to pass. Why? Because of people like my friend Manny Ramirez, former Fort Worth police officer, former head of the Fort Worth Police Officers Association, a very good friend of mine. Manny Ramirez now is a Tarrant County commissioner, as well as Matt Krause and County Judge Tim O'Hare are going to be in favor of it. It's going to pass, but you have to hear this. This is Commissioner Alyssa Simmons. She and the other, we have one or two other Democrats. I think there's one other Democrat. Roderick Miles and Alyssa Simmons, oppose this. They love illegals. Listen to what she said. This is going to be a $100,000 federal grant paying deputies $64.64 per hour to assist ICE. They're going to expand the sheriff's contract with ICE. It'll allow deputies to investigate outside of the jail, investigate, arrest, and search for illegals. Yes. Yes. Hold on. Where is it? There it is.
Oh, Hercules. Hercules.
Oh, yes. This will allow deputies to investigate, arrest, and search for for illegals. And so this is what the less than 2% of people have been walking out and protesting for. Here is this leftist county commissioner in Tarrant County, Alyssa Simmons, talking to WFA TV channel like this is so ridiculous.
Oh,
wait, hold on. Sorry, wrong button. Let me go back to it. Here she is.
We have our own issues to deal with here in the county, and don't have time to be taking on another government agency's role.
We don't have time. We have other issues. So when an illegal rapes a woman, say your relative, my relative, your mom, my mom, a neighbor, a grandma, or murders it, we don't have time for that. Listen to this again.
We have our own issues to deal with here.
Yeah, I mean, we're not dealing with illegals. There's no illegals in Tarrant County. There's no criminal illegals
Here in the county, and don't have time to be taking on another government agency's role.
We don't have time to deal with getting violent criminal illegals, rapists, murderers off our streets. Let them be. Let them rape and kill our people, says Tarrant County Commissioner Alyssa Simmons.
Especially ICE in Tarrant County, which is so far from the border.
This mental midget literally thinks that because Tarrant County is so far from the border that we don't have a problem with criminal illegal aliens. Well, you're a criminal if you come here illegally. But illegals who have DWIs and kill our people in Tarrant County, illegals who hold up and rob or beat or kill or rape our citizens of Tarrant County. How many people live in Tarrant County? I'm going to guess 2 million. Between 1.5 million and 2.5 million. We don't have time to deal with. And how many illegals live in Tarrant County? I mean, if you got between 1.5 and 2.5 million people in Tarrant County, which is very much likely the actual number, how many illegals do you think you have? Thousands and thousands, maybe 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 illegals? 40,000, 100,000 illegals? And she says we don't have time for it. What a disgrace. What an embarrassment she is. But that's a good Democrat for you, isn't it? Good news with illegals as well. North Texas ICE detainees could be held without bond, despite nonviolent status, after a court ruling that came in from the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, conservative circuit, out of New Orleans. Here we go. Nonviolent ICE detainees could be held without bond. The Louisiana 5th Circuit Court of Appeals ruled. Government can indefinitely detain non-citizens without bond as their immigration process plays out. This is extraordinarily good news. A constitutional attorney told Fox 4 the court held that ICE not only can, but should detain illegals who are in immigration process without allowing a bond. They did that based on a provision of the immigration code. Imagine doing that, huh? Imagine that. Oh, this is great. This is great. I got to get this for you. Where is she? There she is. Do you remember LaMonica MacGyver? LaMonica MacGyver is this crazed leftist from New Jersey who violently broke into and attacked ICE agents. Remember that? She punched and elbowed ICE agents when she broke into a ICE facility, a holding facility. Here she is today saying vile things to ICE Director Todd Lyons, and I'm going to pick this apart. She questions his salvation, says he's going to hell, and all sorts of things. I will pick this apart, but I want to play it for first. This is our acting ICE Director, Todd Lyons, being asked all these sorts of horrible things. But LaMonica MacGyver is literally facing federal charges. She's awaiting her trial on assaulting ICE agents. Here we go.
Mr. Lyons, do you consider yourself a religious man?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, how do you think...
All right, let me start over again, make it a little bit louder, but listen to her. Just a sad woman. Here we go.
Mr. Lyons, do you consider yourself a religious man?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, how do you think Judgment Day will work for you with so much blood on your hands?
I'm not going to entertain that question.
Oh,
ma'am.
okay, of course not. Do you think you're going to hell, Mr. Lyons?
I'm not going to entertain.
Of course not. How many government
The gentlelady will
agencies-
suspend. The
How many-
gentlelady will suspend.
Chairman?
A gentlelady will suspend. As I said, the issues we're debating here are important to ones that members feel deeply about.
Thank you,
While
Chairman.
vigorous disagreement is part of the legislative process, members are reminded that we must adhere to established standards of decorum and debate. The witnesses are here voluntarily, and I will continue to remind members that while oversight is important, aggressively attacking those witnesses personally is inappropriate and not in keeping with the traditions of our committee.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just asking a question. You guys are always talking about religion here in the Bible. I mean, it's okay for me to ask a question, right? But let me continue on. I got your note.
All right, the gentlelady may resume.
Thank you so much. Let me get back to my question, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I appreciate you.
So, LaMonica MacGyver, who can't say the word ask, is facing federal charges for assaulting an ICE agent. Asks ICE Director Todd Lyons, how do you think Judgment Day will go for you? With so much blood in your hands, then ask, do you think you're going to hell, Mr. Lyons? Well, LaMonica, unfortunately, I don't know where your salvation is as a possible Christian, if you are Christian, but you're certainly not displaying basic knowledge. If you are a Christian, then you would know that the way to be saved is to say Jesus, to accept the free gift of salvation from Jesus, to believe Him, and to believe on the Bible, and then you are saved. It doesn't mean you won't do things that maybe are wrong or sinful, but you never lose your salvation. So, woman, you are either a liar or an unsaved Christian who has no knowledge. And if you are allegedly a saved Christian, then you don't know what the hell you're talking about. This is basic stuff that my son knew when he was 12 or 10 or 8. So it's just a nasty way of trying to do that. But that's really a sick woman, which I guess that's the kind of person that would assault ICE agents and break into a facility. CBS, of course, I mentioned this yesterday, but it's very important saying it again. CBS says, only 20% of people arrested with ICE, or whatever the number is, have been convicted of crimes. But ICE says here's a more accurate way of describing it. Nearly 70% of the criminal aliens, and they're all criminals, 100% of them are criminals because it's a crime to come over the border illegally, but nearly 70% of criminal aliens detained by ICE have pending charges or prior convictions. The so-called nonviolent offenders, ICE says, nonviolent are charged with drug trafficking, distribution of child pornography, burglary, fraud, DUI, embezzlement, solicitation of a minor, human smuggling, and more. If that's nonviolent to you and you feel no problems with that, well then, you got a problem. You got some splaining to do. Fort Worth City Council members are considering voting to double their salary. This, to me, is a hell to the no. Do you know why it's a hell to the no? Because I don't want Fort Worth to become like Chicago. And aren't the people of Fort Worth constantly saying how, and it's very true, Fort Worth is not Dallas, and Dallas is not Fort Worth. When I lived in Minneapolis, St. Paul, where I did a talk show before coming to Dallas, Fort Worth, Minneapolis was like Dallas, and St. Paul's like Fort Worth. The real people live in St. Paul. The real people live in Fort Worth. And why in God's name would Fort Worth want to be like Dallas? Because they're saying, well, Dallas makes, the mayor earns $80,000. The city council members earn $60,000. Why does our mayor, instead of earning $80,000, only earn $29,000? Why does our city council member make $25,000 instead of the Dallas folks making $60,000? Because you're not Dallas. Because you're not a corrupt big city with leftists running the city and or the county yet. So my answer is no. And by the way, they say, well, you can get a better leader if you're paying more. No. You don't run to be the mayor of a city. You don't run to be a city council member because you want to make a living off it if you want, or you want to have it as a full-time job. That's what they do in Chicago, where they have, I think it's like, I fill in there regularly, I'm from there originally, and I think they have like 160 aldermen or 100 aldermen. It's insane. It's between 60 and 100. I think 60 to 80 alder people, alder women, alder men they have there. And they pay them like $150,000 a year. That's where you want to take this? So no, Mayor Matty Parker, you don't need to earn $60,000 a year. It still ain't going to be what you need to make for your lifestyle. And no city council members, you don't need to make $50,000 a year. Keep it at 25 and 29 and 25 respectively. And how stupid Fort Worth leaders saying they want to be like Dallas. So you want to be just like your neighbors that you claim to be nothing like. Let's vote for that. No. We're not going to make it a professional occupation and a job you stay at for the rest of your life to be nice, fat, and corrupt at. From the Dallas Express today, violence strikes again. How many more incidents before cities break from DART? Well, I've already told you about this. Every city that is going to be voting on whether or not to kick DART out should vote no. To vote yes to kick him out, I should say. DART is the mugger mover. DART is the jail rail. When I was in Cancun with my wife a couple years ago, I met some Minneapolis police officers and their wives and stuff. They were there vacationing, and we had a lot of fun hanging out with them, throwing back some drinks and playing cards with them and stuff. And I have always called it the mugger mover. They call it the jail rail up there. If you got a cop up there saying it, and you got a friend from Detroit that told me it was the mugger mover when he was in Detroit, and we know that's the truth here, you know it's the truth everywhere. There's an area near us that has a DART stop, and the community center by there, the rec center, has constant people coming in that are homeless, that are trying to take showers. They got problem with people panhandling aggressively at the intersections by the mugger mover, and a lot of criminals come in on the mugger mover, commit crimes, and get back on and go. And second of all, they're talking, what's the solution in this article in the Dallas Express? What's the solution to doing this? And they're saying we need more cops. Yes, but listen, no. The solution is to do what I do, because you can lawfully carry on the jail rail. I wouldn't ride the jail rail, but if I did, I would wear. I used to way back when. But if I were you, I'd carry my firearm. That's what I would do, and then relax. If something happens, if you need to use your firearm, you've got it. That's the answer. An 18-year-old thug shot a victim during a robbery gone wrong at the Fair Park DART station February 3rd, says the Dallas Express. Several days later, a 27-year-old allegedly stabbed and killed two people during a fight outside the Deep Ellum DART station February 7th. Councilmember Kara Mendelson, who has common sense, is a common sense, more Republican type, she said this is alarming. Farmers Branch, Highland Park, University Park, Irving, Plano, and Addison are looking at getting out. Addison definitely should get out, but Plano should definitely get out. Plano has the most aggressive panhandlers of any suburb, I dare say. Plano is freaking woke. The chief of police there is Ed Drain. He took a knee. He loves Black Lives Matter. Plano is way leftist and way more woke than people understand. After the shootings, a user took to Reddit claiming to have been on a nearby DART train at the time. Once we arrived at Pearl, half a dozen cops boarded the train. According to one of the cops, somebody had been held up at gunpoint at on one of the trains. Not sure what happened exactly, but it wasn't exactly reassuring. Another user, the Dallas Express reports, claiming to work in the DART control center, corroborated the account. I'll continue to take DART when going downtown and now to DFW on the Silver Line. The initial user responded, I'd feel better if there was something more security, though. Carry a weapon, dude. All right. Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton announces an investigation into Kaufman County's development backed by the Dubai company. Now, Channel 8 waters it down. Channel 8 waters it down. Hey, first of all, let's go to Sugarland. Are they Islamatizing the Islamization of Texas? Are they Islamatizing Texas? Nah. Let's go to Sugar Land. Let's see how things are going in Sugar Land. That's Sugar Land, Texas. Is that right?
أشهد أن لا
Holy crap.
إله إلا الله.
Welcome to Islamabad. I'm sorry, Sugar Land, Texas, suburban Houston. My wife and I stayed at a hotel there once. We didn't see that. AG Ken Paxton. I'm going to do the bland, woke version first from Channel 8, because that's who they are. They're not bland, but they're woke. They're right a quarter time, but they're also woke. Kaufman County being backed by this Kaufman County development that Ken Paxton is investigating. It's being backed by a Dubai-based company months after filing a lawsuit against the East Plano Islamic Center Epic that Ken Paxton sued. He's now investigating this Dubai company. Paxton says there could be as many as 20,000 foreign nationals moving in. 20,000 foreign nationals moving into Kaufman County. I have friends in Kaufman County that go to First Baptist Dallas. What the bleep? The suit alleges the entities of releasing promotional materials. This is of his Epic suit. This is from WFAA, as I mentioned. The suit accuses the entities of releasing promotional materials, implying that Epic would be illegally reserved specifically for Muslims and calling it the epicenter of Islam in North America. The epicenter of Islam in North America is in Kaufman County and or Collin County. Well, Epic, it's the Islamic, hold on, make sure I get this right. The East Plano Islamic Center is in on the epicenter of Islam in North America. We are being invaded. So I'm glad we're doing investigations in our state. There will be no Sharia city. Ken Paxton launches a probe into Kaufman County development. This is a story from Dallas Express. Now, by the way, WFAA TV Channel 8 will never mention that CARE is an unindicted co-conspirator in the largest ever terrorism financing case in U.S. history, the Holy Land Foundation in Richardson, Texas, where they raised between $5 and $7 million to kill Jews under the auspices of Palestinian aid. Several people from the Holy Land Foundation went to jail for decades for doing that, and CARE is an unindicted co-conspirator in that case. They were talking about, they're in a wiretap in a Boston hotel room, talking about waging jihad by using the laws of this country, nonviolent jihad, by using the laws and the media in this country against the country to turn it against itself from within. Because that's what Islamists do. And CARE is a terrorist organization, which is why Governor Abbott is correct in labeling them a foreign terror organization, as well as their mothership, the Muslim Brotherhood. And they also are pro-Hamas and backed by Hamas. CARES. Paxton's office is examining land purchases near Kaufman tied to SEE Holding, a Dubai-based developer, says the Dallas Express, and Kaufman Solar LLC, a U.S. entity connected to the project. Public reporting has indicated the companies have acquired thousands of acres in the area for what they have described as a proposed sustainable city. The Sustainable City USA project is on 2,300 acres in Kaufman County. C has their holdings overseas developments, some of which list mosques among their amenities. Now we have, let's see what I got, my repertoire of videos. Here we go. Now we have the, this is quite interesting. There was a Dallas Express had a forum. They hosted a forum at the East Plano Islamic Center, Epic, February 9th. So that was yesterday. And in there, a Republican running for Congress, running for Congress in Texas 32nd District, they had a forum where Republicans and Democrats spoke out. There is a Republican who is an Iranian American named Abtin Vaziri, who directly criticized Sharia law and in this forum, and here he is doing that. And the Dallas Express reporting that one attendee had to be physically restrained. People went nuts over this Islamic Republican from Iran. And Iran, 90% of the Iranian people love Jews and Israel. They have no problem. They love Americans. They are very good people. It's 10%. It's the regime. It is not the people of Iran. They're highly educated, and they're very good people. Just so you know. This Republican, Abtin Vaziri, is a Muslim, as I said, from Iran, and he's running for Republican in the 32nd District, Congressional District in Texas. Here he is calling out Sharia law and getting people being restrained and getting mad at him.
Wherever it is. I called out Valentina Gomez for calling all Muslims, 30 names and being a complete bigot and trying to get social media followers. I speak the truth. But I also want to say, as someone whose entire family is Muslim, I'm not down with Sharia law. Sharia law says that women on that side of the room are worth half as much as men. Do you all agree with that? No, that's true. That is true. That is 100% true. In Iran, Sharia law says women are worth half as much as men. That is 100% true.
Look at all these Muslims in our county, in our city, in our country who get mad when a Muslim says, I am very much against Sharia law. They want Sharia. They want our women treated like cattle. They want to be in our schools like Wiley East. They want to be converting your child. They want to be passing out Qurans like they did in Wiley East. They want to be passing out pamphlets that say understanding Sharia so your daughter can become a Muslim and your son can become a Muslim and they can get Sharia law done and enslave the women in this country and treat them like cattle, which is what this Muslim Republican is saying. I'm going to rewind it a little bit and play the whole thing now.
That is true. That is 100% true. In Iran, Sharia law says women are worth half as much as men. That is 100% true. That is 100% true. And I'll talk about ICE. I'll talk about ICE. I think what the Biden administration did was a travesty to open the borders and let 20 million illegals in this country. This is a country of immigrants. I'm an immigrant, but this is also a country of laws, and we have to abide by the immigration laws. I'm not down with ICE doing all the inhumane things the way that they're handling it, but I also agree that people that are here illegally should be deported, 100%.
Okay, but listen to what the Dallas Express said about this. They hosted this event, or at least they reported on it. Here we go. It's a candidate forum. East Plano Islamic Center, EPIC. And that man that was standing up as one of the candidates, he's a Republican, as I said, and he's from Iran, directly criticized Sharia. There was one attendee had to be physically restrained. I guess he wants to issue a fatwa and wage jihad in his rump. Vaziri is an Iranian-born American running for Congress in Texas, 32nd District, as the Dallas Express reported. As someone whose entire family is a Muslim, he said, I'm not down with Sharia. Sharia law says women on that side of the room are worth half as much as men. Do you agree with that? Well, the answer is yes. That's why they got mad. I asked the woman in the audience how they would justify Sharia laws and in all matters consider women half as much as men. He told the Express. They said that was false. And I said, actually, it's 100% true. I have the receipts. Vaziri asked, did you pray for your brothers and sisters? The real genocide is happening in Iran right now, not in Israel. And here's the receipts about that. Hamas admitted that they are going to pay stipends of around 50,000 widows of fighters killed by the IDF in the war that it initiated, the terror attack on October 7th. Hamas will pay stipends to 50,000 widows because their husbands are Hamas jihadis who fought and were killed by the IDF. 50,000. By its own admission, this means that 80% of Gaza's dead were terrorist combatants, not civilians. There absolutely has never been a genocide. There is no genocide. The only genocide was perpetrated on the Israeli people when October 7th, Hamas, the terrorist, broke the ceasefire and invaded and raped and killed and systematically tried to ethnically cleanse as many as possible. In fact, the whole plan, which was put together by Iran and Hamas and subsidized and trained Iran, the IRCG, Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, the whole plan was to do this. They put it in the media, the GoPro cams. They got all the media riled up to get this covered in the Muslim nations so they wanted everybody to come in and join in and destroy Israel. They thought that this would light a fire among the Muslim world to come in, and the Islamic world and the Islamic countries to come in and wipe Israel off the map, which is what they want to do. And it failed. But they are the ones, the committee, they're the genocidal maniacs. Anyways, he said the real genocide, Vaziri said, the real genocide is happening right now in Iran. He's right. About 36,000 people were slaughtered. And Trump is getting a second. Now he wants a second carrier. He ordered a second carrier group to go into the Middle East. Apparently they're going to do stuff. But it's way late. But if he does it, I'll support it 100%. I hope he does. What does he do? He does not, people don't understand, and they're like, well, what do you mean? There's no troops on the ground, never should be, never will. We strike the missile sites, we strike the nuclear sites. The missile sites, what really they're building back together already and trying to get completely good to go, again, are their missiles, their ballistic missiles. Their nuclear stuff is still set back. We need to destroy all their ballistic missiles facilities, all their ballistic missiles factories, and we also need to blow up the headquarters and the facilities of the IRCG, as well as the leaders, the mullahs, the leaders of the head of the snake, and let the people take their country back. Not by putting any of us in there. I would support those things. Vaziri says, I got booed. That basically proves that EPIC, East Plano Islamic Center, is not a place of worship, but rather a military outpost for Hamas and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Exactly. He is a Muslim calling out Muslims who are jihadis. Zuhdi Jasser, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, I've had him on my show on and off over the years. He is amazing. He is a moderate Muslim who actually, just like Vaziri, calls out Islamists and says, I am a Muslim. You are a radical Islamist. Okay? And he calls out Sharia. He calls out Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, CARE, as a terrorist organization. The Muslim Brotherhood, all of them. Has great authority on that. And he has he's based out of Phoenix, but he's got a national group that calls out all the jihadis in our country. Remember that city full of illegals just north of Houston in Liberty County? Remember that? They just reached a settlement with the federal government and the state government, and it's very good. A sweeping settlement, reports the Texas Scorecard, between state of Texas and federal government and Colony Ridge will now require, that's that community of illegals, will now require buyers in the Liberty County development to present Texas-issued ID or valid immigration documents, now shutting down the future direct land sales to illegals. Period. Under the new settlement that was just reached, Colony Ridge must require purchasers to present an unexpired Texas driver license. They put driver license, just so you know, grammatically incorrect their Texas Scorecard. Come on. Texas-issued driver license or identification card or valid passport or visa, as well as taking steps to confirm the buyers are not on terrorist watch lists or affiliated with transnational criminal organizations like what? Tren de Aragua. Another $20 million must be allocated to increase law enforcement presence in the area over the next decade, and those funds may be used for local patrols, construction of DPS or county law enforcement substations, and additional officers, equipment, and expanded immigration enforcement partnerships. They can't spend any more money until the full amount has been spent that's been agreed to on law enforcement in that immediate city. Good. Advertising practices are tightly constrained now. Colony Ridge may no longer market properties as move-in ready or fully serviced unless utilities are put in. And last but not least, the funniest part of the show will be this guy. You have a Minnesota man who is a curler. You know what curling is, right? Big stone with a handle on it. You throw it, and then people on your team are doing brooms in front of it, and wow, it goes. This curler is from Minneapolis or Minnesota, and he loves illegals, and he hates Trump, and he hates ICE. So listen to this guy. This is so funny.
First of all, I'd like to say I'm proud to be here to represent Team USA and to represent our country.
Mind you, this guy throws a rock on ice with a broom, okay? Mind you that.
But we'd be remiss if we didn't at least mention what's going on in Minnesota and what a tough time it's been for everybody. This stuff is happening right around where we live, and I am a lawyer, as you know, and we
Excuse me. Is he still talking?
we have a constitution, and it allows us to freedom of the press and freedom of speech. Protects us from unreasonable searches and seizures, and makes it that we have to, have probable cause to be pulled over.
All right. What I don't get is this guy who works with ICE. He has to literally work with ICE. He has to have ICE for him to be able to do curling. Yet he is against ICE. Can somebody explain that to me? He is against ICE, but yet he is a curler. It makes no sense. Sorry for my tacky humor. The Chris Crock Show, I should say Crock Talk with Chris Crock, that's the name of the podcast, brought to you by IRSprob.com, IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversies, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. I will see you for tomorrow's podcast, Crock Talk with Chris Crock.